after you're saved, it's Jesus' resume and not you.
TJ, welcome to my podcast. It's currently called the Landon Ball Podcast, but I think we're going to rename it.
I like that name.
You like it?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
That's my opinion too.
So I guess, we'll just start right here. Things I just learned today. I've known you for a little over a year now. TJ is not your real name.
Nope.
Are you willing to say your real name to the whole world?
I am.
The whole 147 listeners and subscribers that we have? What's your full name? What's your government name?
Government given name on the birth certificate, Travis Jeremy.
Travis Jeremy. Whose idea was it to make you go TJ?
My dad wanted, he didn't care what my name was. He wanted to call a boy TJ and told my mom to figure out what it meant.
Okay.
And so I was TJ. I heard a story when I was like 5 or 6 that somebody asked me what my real name was. And I said it was TJ. I said, it's not your real name. And I was pretty angry. I actually didn't like the name Travis.
So TJ, that is your real name. I always get frustrated. People will be like, Landon's your middle name. Did you know that? Landon's my middle name?
I didn't.
Yeah, Landon's my middle name. They'll be like, what's your real name? I'm like, that is my real name. It's just my middle name, okay? But tell me your story. Where did you grow up?
Where
were you born?
San Antonio, Texas. I was a Texas boy.
What?
Yep.
Oh.
So we lived there, I think 5-6 years, then moved to St. Louis, then moved to Rome. You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, I lived in Rome for 3 years.
What were you all moving for? Was your dad in the military or?
Well, so that's the question. My dad worked for Emerson Electric, and we know them for microwaves now. They made arming systems for helicopters then.
Wow.
And so he had a contract with the military in Italy. Yeah. So we were supposed to move 1 year.
Cool.
They asked us to stay another year. They asked us to stay another year. And then they wanted us to stay longer, but my mom got pregnant with my sister, and they said, we're not having a baby overseas. So 3 years overseas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Rome.
That was cool. Then back to St. Louis, Columbia, graduated high school in Boonville. It's a lot of moving.
So,
We added it up before. I've moved 18 times.
Wow. Like to date. So including your own moves?
Yeah, to date, 18 times, but I haven't moved in the last 14 years.
Good for you. We're on a pace of moving every 2 years right now. So
okay,
we'll catch up to you soon. When were you in Columbia?
I was in Columbia. I think we moved 4th grade, and I moved to Boonville to start sophomore year in high school.
Okay. Where'd you go in Columbia to school?
I went to Fairview.
Yeah, that's where
I went to Russell like the first couple months that I got here, and then we bought a house and moved over to Fairview.
Okay. I
went to West, and I would have been Hickman, even though I was a freshman, but they did all their years weird. So,
what year did you graduate so I can know like how old you are?
2001.
2001. All right. That's when you were born, Cody. Isn't that crazy?
Born the day before 9/11 happened.
I was in a college class. Gosh, I'm old.
I was 6, so I was in 1st grade in Miss Holman's elementary class. But
wait, you were in college?
Yeah.
How old are you?
42.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. Crazy.
Don't do the Don Cheadle thing to him.
Dang. Awesome.
Have you seen the Kevin Hart Don Cheadle clip where Don Cheadle's like, man, I'm 53 years old or something like that. And Kevin Hart goes, dang. And then Don Cheadle's like, what? Like, dude, it's one of the funniest clips. If you could edit that in, that would be hilarious.
Oh, man.
Like I said, and me, I'm 56 years old. Damn.
I'm sorry. No, I would have figured you were like 35.
Do what?
I figured he was like 35, though.
Yeah, I mean, I could have made... I honestly probably would have thought you were older than 42, to be super honest with you. Not in an offensive way.
I'm going to repeat what he said.
No, brother, I meant it from the... Yeah. Okay, so 2001, graduated from Boonville then.
Boonville, yeah.
Did you play sports?
I did growing up, then moving to a small town is not the greatest for sports.
Yeah?
So I decided to...
Why do you say that? What did you not like about it?
we moved to town.
Mm-hmm.
My first day of school was the first time I've seen the school. So I had my classes. I had a weightlifting class. I had no idea where the locker room or the weight room was. So I went to the gym. The football coach came in and yelled at me like nobody else has screamed at me in my life and said, screw that guy. I'm playing football.
That was effective. Yeah. No joke. So is that what you would have played?
Then I went and tried out for baseball and didn't make the team. I have a clear mind of like, I'm not the best player on the team.
Sure.
I should be on that team. These kids played together forever, so I didn't make it. So after that, I worked and said,
Did you do anything extracurricular in high school?
Partied as a young crazy boy. Yeah,
sure. When did you start drumming?
When I was 12.
Okay.
Our family and Garrett, another good friend of mine, our family's planted a church, and they needed people to play music. And so I actually wanted to play the bass, and somebody bought a bass before me. And so then I bought a drum set.
Just missed the window.
No, I mean, he helped me out. I didn't realize that drummers were way cooler.
They are way cooler. Bass players just play one note. So this would have been like 1994. Like, what was the music era you grew up in?
The younger days, there was so much R&B and hip hop then. A lot of people loved Metallica. I've always hated Metallica. I don't think they're talented. I think everything sounds the same. You can make a reel out of that.
I don't think I could name a Metallica song.
Yeah. So
I can name every VeggieTale.
Very much. As I got a little bit older, like Blink-182 was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I love Third Eye Blind. Like Incubus was really, really big. Those are all bands I really, really enjoyed in high school.
I don't think I could name a single one of those. Not being offensive, but yeah, I don't think I could name a single song from any of those bands.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I know that's a band name, right?
Yeah. Linkin Park started when I was in high school.
I've heard of Linkin Park.
Okay, there we go.
Yep. Fall Out Boy.
That was a little bit later.
A bit later.
Yeah. That was in the tight jean phase.
Creed obviously just got popular again.
Yeah, so their debut CD came out when I was a sophomore. I think everyone likes Creed. It's kind of like what was the other band that was
Nickelback?
Yeah, they're the new Nickelback.
Yeah, it's fun to hate them, but they're actually pretty decent music.
If you're sitting in the car listening to it on a road trip, you're like, it's pretty good. Yeah. By yourself.
Also, I just want to say, people say Nickelback is Christian. It is not.
Well, people say that.
People do. Huh. Like the guys who like religiously defend Nickelback be like, it's got like Christian themes to it. I'm like, they're talking about drugs and women the entire time.
That's like Jelly Roll singing the song about I'm a sinner. Like it's gospel.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, dude, he's a piece of preach. He's a Christian. You know. No, I don't know what that is. What do you think that is? This I've noticed that a lot, where people so desperately want like their celebrity that they love to be a Christian, and it doesn't feel like it's because they genuinely are like, I want them to convert. Yeah. It's almost like I want a celebrity figure. Like, what is that?
No, that's good. So I think first of all, the musician takes it. There's a storyline of the Bible that our lives fall into. There's big trends that we connect to, whether we believe or not. And so the musician will take it even not knowing what it means. Like your child coming home and using a word and be like, you don't know what you just said there. They'll take it because they hear it or sense it. And then the other people still have some draw to something deeper. And so I think there's almost this co-opting of, see the people I listen to, they're good. They align to. So I think it makes them feel good.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like they want a big celebrity figure to like be the influential Christian, which I don't know how necessarily good that is overall for reaching people, but that's sometimes what it comes across as too, when people are like, I really want Taylor Swift to like convert as a Christian. And you're probably right. It's more about like I'm a huge fan. I just want her to, I want to see her in heaven. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
You can latch yourself to something that you consider positive, whether you believe it or not. Just like, so it has to be good.
Right. True. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Okay. So anyway, went to Boonville. Yep. Didn't play any sports.
Nope.
Extracurricular was just partying, running crazy. Where'd you work? Did you work at the Sonic there?
I did not. I worked at KFC for a month and quit.
Nice.
That was disgusting.
Do you know the recipe?
I don't. I just couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Yeah.
The first day they hired me, and this is the Stone Age apparently because I'm older. I think I started for like $5 an hour. And the first day old days, the sewer backed up and they wanted me to clean it. I was like, I'll quit. No. The manager was like, hey, you're going to clean that. Like, I run a cash register.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So it was just gross.
So no plumbing experience, right?
No plumbing experience. Is just like,
was your upbringing like in farming, or were you moving so much that you didn't necessarily have like a latched on, I was a this type of kid?
That was pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. We moved so much. There's a lot of making new friends, making new connections, things like that. I never saw that as bad. I thought kind of saw it as a new adventure. The only move that was hard was moving to a small town, but the rest of it. But no.
And you call Boonville a small town? This podcast is brought to you by nobody. That's right. Nobody paid for this spot. But this could be your business ad, personally attested to by me with a personalized recommendation. Obviously, I have to like, your product, but I will personally attest to this ad slot. And if you're trying to reach the ears of Fayette, this is the place to do it. So if you want to advertise here, please email us at landonballstudios@gmail.com. That's LandonBallstudios@gmail.com. That you would call Boonville a small town?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we would call Boonville a big town.
Well,
it's 5 times the size of Fayette.
Consider like San Antonio.
Correct. Yeah.
St. Louis.
Yep.
Rome. Mm-hmm. Columbia was the smallest move before that. Mm-hmm. And then you go to Boonville. Graduating class was, I think there was supposed to be 130, but 10 dropped out or got pregnant. So it was like 120. Like that was pretty small comparatively to at least what I'd seen.
We had 50, and that was big. It was one of the biggest classes ever. I think normally it's about 30 around here in Fayette. So that's interesting, the perspective of like Boonville being, like if a town has a Walmart to me, that's big.
Big time.
Big time.
Yeah.
Was there a Walmart there when you were there?
That's where I worked after KFC.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Back to a good segue.
Through graduating high school. That was a good job to have in a small town.
Yeah.
I think the good jobs are either working at a grocery store or Walmart. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to mess with grease or sewer.
Ice cream shop's not bad.
That'd be solid.
Do they have? They don't really have an ice cream shop over there. I think
they had a Dairy Queen. I think it shut down.
Yeah, A&W was big over there for a little bit too.
Yep.
Anyway, you worked at Walmart.
I did.
Then what?
Then moved to Kansas City to go to college. Longview, the A+ scholarship. I think they still have that.
Longview was the name of the college?
Yeah.
Okay.
Community college.
A+ still a thing. I got some cheap tuition for that.
You get a certain GPA. You got to do some community service, maintain a certain attendance, and it was free then.
Were you a good student?
No.
All right.
I joke around. I took 10 years to get a 2-year degree.
Did it?
Kind of. I quit for a long time.
Hey,
yeah. So I went there. College was kind of a wild time for me, so I didn't go to class very much or focus or apply. So I had free school.
What was like your dream job though, going into college? Or were you just going because that's what you're supposed to do?
I was just going because I wanted to move, and I had no idea what I wanted to be. I knew I didn't want to be tied down to a desk where I had to do the same thing 24/7, but I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah. When you moved to Boonville, I think you told me that's when they planted a church.
Mm-hmm. It was before that. We lived in Columbia and would just commute back and forth.
Okay. But did your dad plant the church?
A good friend of mine's dad planted the church. My dad's still an elder there.
Okay. Yeah. So was your family always going to church even through all those moves too?
Yeah. We grew up going to Assemblies of God churches, then Open Bible churches when I was a little bit later. So all over all the moves, they'd find some place to go. So I grew up in church. It was in there.
Did you guys go anywhere in Columbia before you went to the Open Bible in Boonville?
They had a really hard time finding a church that fit and that they enjoyed there, or that they connected with people there. So that was like the longest season of looking for a church and not having a stable one.
Do you remember going, which ones you might have visited in Columbia? Because I'm trying to overlap a world where we might have been at the same church at the same time. Because I would have been in Columbia at that time.
I honestly don't remember which ones they would have been. I assume that they probably would have gone to Christian Chapel from the Assemblies of God roots. I don't know if Christian Fellowship was open then or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
But no, I don't remember specific names.
We went to Centerpoint.
Okay.
E-Free, which I don't know what E-Free is now. I think that's a denomination now, but it was just called E-Free. And then I think there's a church in the Valley View neighborhood on Northwest Columbia, which might be called Higher Ground or something like that.
Yeah. They were trying to sell that building. I've been out there.
That's where, because that's where Heritage was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I grew up in that neighborhood.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we lived. And we did a little bit of church there before we moved over to Fayette. So
okay.
Did they sell that building eventually?
I don't think that they did. They asked a lot of money for
How
it.
much? I want to know.
If my memory
New State Farm off.
If my memory serves, like $2.5 million. And the land was probably the most worthwhile thing.
Great sledding hill. We would sled off their parking lot.
Oh, the land was great. Building kind of looked like it might have been
looked like a 90s church,
cold.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I don't know.
Just a white building. It looks like it should be out in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, that's churches for the most part, right?
In the middle of a neighborhood in Columbia.
I bet the church, you think the church was there first or the neighborhood was there?
Probably the church.
Probably the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was an old place.
I learned in London that like steeples, like, do you know the history of steeples?
I do not.
Apparently they were like signals for where the marketplaces were. So they built them super high.
Yeah, okay.
So that everybody could see them from far away. And that's where you knew they used to be like where the marketplace happened.
Okay.
Was at the church. I learned that in London. I don't know. But I also went to, have you been to London?
Through, but not spent.
We went to, just to say we went in it. Is it Westminster Abbey? The huge.
Mm-hmm.
And we went into that for a service.
Was it cool?
It was actually hot. It was very hot and very stuffy. It was cool architecture.
Okay.
I don't know about the service, but it was very cool architecture. I always kind of appreciate too like there seems to be this happening. You can speak this too, like such a divide from tradition and history because it's old and crusty.
Yeah.
And I personally I love like the liturgistic, repetitive, even like a cappella singing. Like I like is that Mark Dover or Denver's church in DC? Dever, thank you. That I don't think they have any instruments, but it's one of the most epic worship services because everybody sings super loud. It's awesome. So I like kind of stuff like that where like I appreciated that regardless of like the beliefs, they had this incredible men's choir. Yeah. Men and boys choir that I was like, holy smokes, these guys are salty. But anyway.
I think that stuff's neat. Yeah. I'm interested in the architecture now of we planted a church. You just needed to find a place that you could stick a couple people. You don't think of like building something that's beautiful and can stick around for a long time and be something. Because when you're starting from nothing, that's not even a realm you can think through. So now you get a little older and start understanding, like, hey, building things that last is actually pretty cool.
Building things that last and also building things that like clearly took a lot of time, effort, and money.
Yeah.
Like those structures had to have taken possibly generations of time to build.
The person who had the vision for it probably wasn't the guy who saw it done.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like I think through the early 2000s, it turned into like Kmart churches, right?
Yep.
That was the trend of just like, let's just find a shed.
Yeah.
Let's try to find a big shed to meet. I wish things were like in a different spot now where like a group of people could just go, we're just going to go build an epic building now. I don't know how realistic that is anymore in today's world.
Yeah, I understand the mindset of like, hey, I feel called to plant a church. I just got to meet somewhere. But you kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater of not realizing, hey, this almost like, hey, those are not cool because they're not starting how we did grassroots. You're like, no, those are still really cool, even though you can't have that right now.
Or like maybe once they did that, they strayed too far into like even overvalue. Like I think maybe that's one of the strays away from those super nice, super expensive buildings is, oh, we shouldn't spend money on stuff like that. Probably some good strays away from like, we might be way overemphasizing this piece of architecture. But it was cool to visit some 1700s built churches that you're like, holy smokes, this is cool. And it doesn't need heat or AC because it's just stone insulated. It's just epic. So anyway, so church was always a part of your growing up.
It was. We were there 3 times a week.
Yeah. So you were raised as a Christian. Kind of. Yeah. Like, would you say you were raised in a Christian home? Like if somebody starts their story.
Yeah, definitely. So I was raised in a Christian home. I think that my generation or a lot of people around me, you went to church and that's what you did. Yeah. And you were there. Come hell or high water, you're there. Yeah. the why and the what wasn't probably there so much. So yeah, I definitely grew up in a Christian home, but I didn't understand Christ or the gospel. Even though I was there all the time, but still have the benefits like families together, loved for, cared for.
Yeah. Contrast like today's day and age, which doesn't seem to have that value or ethic, at least perceptively. That's what I perceive. But this podcast is brought to you by, you guessed it, me, Landon Ball, State Farm agent. Do you feel like insurance doesn't make any sense? You are not alone. My team and I are trying to figure that out like every day. If you want to understand your insurance policy better, specifically if you have like a life or car or home insurance policy that some brother-in-law or uncle twice removed sold you years ago, reach out to my team here in Fayette at 660-248-2424 or go to our website at FayetteInsuranceTeam.com. Please don't call me with anything non-insurance related. Don't call our office if it's not about insurance. Please don't call or contact our office if it's about ice cream shop, anything that's not insurance related. Thanks.
Yeah.
Which do you think is better? Which is a very limiting question.
Yeah. Well, some sort of being around the things of the church is a gravitational pull that can still happen there, and the Lord can still use it. So I think it's good. Like the generations that have no form, like I believe that's where a ton of anxiety comes. Is like you have no anchor to anything, whether you think you're following or not, or know the why. You're just literally tethered to nothing. But whatever the TikTok algorithm gives you or whatnot.
Right.
So having the stability of at least being in a structure is good. And then even though I didn't know the why, if the ways of God are good and something is trying to hold you somewhat close to it, there's a solid benefit to that.
There's at least a morality structure.
Yeah.
That exists in that upbringing.
Yeah, and I'm super thankful for that stuff. Like that was good.
Yeah.
I went crazy, but that was good.
Sure. Yeah, I got really mad when people started like deconstructing and then like canceling Veggie Tales. Do you remember that? For just only teaching like moral teachings. And I'm just like, all right, let your kid watch South Park then. That's fine.
Yeah.
What's your alternative?
Yeah.
You a South Park kid?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let your kid watch South Park.
Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, that's always, and we do seem to swing that, pendulum back and forth that way. But so raised in a Christian home, and then talk to me about a little bit about your faith journey from a, you knew you were somewhat anchored to it, but the process of, your story, and then really taking it seriously, I guess.
Yeah, you always want to be really fair when you look at like your past and where you grew up, because there's always a difference between what was said and what you heard.
Mm-hmm.
And what you heard may not have actually been what was said.
Or even what you saw wasn't fully real, like the reality. Yeah.
So I feel like I grew up in a lot of fire and brimstone, scare the hell out of you. Just heavy weight. And I didn't understand anything about salvation being like a present reality of reconciliation with God and a good thing. And it's just, hey, hell's hot. Do you want to go there? No, then line it up and fix it. That when I turned like 16 and had freedom, I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I'd still go, but then I'd chase girls and drink and do everything else because it's just more appealing when you're a young boy and you also don't know the why. And you ask a 16-year-old, like, what's more fun, to go to this thing you don't understand or chase a very good-looking person? It's generally the chasing if you don't know the why.
Probably more naturally understand the second one.
So I felt a lot of that. It was just I'd say just a shame base is what I understood, and a necessity of, like a lot of people call it insurance faith. You need it in case, sort of thing. Then later on, I don't know how much of the story you want me to kind of go into. I got pretty wild in high school and college. Just a lot of drinking, partying, and I didn't know how to be a man. And so it was pretty wild. And ended up moving to Iowa later. I had a guy who I knew growing up who was starting a church, asked me to come out and help. And I ended up going out to help them. Really as a fresh start, because I knew I was in a pretty reckless spot in my life. And so I reformed my behavior pretty quickly. Had to learn how to meet people outside of a bar and stop cursing like crazy, and lined up my behavior, and they ended up hiring me to work at their church. And then later on, I went to a conference and heard kind of for the first time my ears were open to it. Like the good news of the gospel is that you get Jesus and reconciliation with God now. Mm. The idea that Jesus was a present reality and good. I just was like, no, like it's just you're bartering not to go to hell. What are you talking about? I just never understood that.
And that conference was, you had been working at a church before going to that conference?
I was working at a church. I went just for a vacation to a conference. A couple guys were sharing the gospel there.
What conference?
It was in Atlanta, a Catalyst conference.
Catalyst. I think I've heard of that.
Chandler was speaking there. Craig Rochelle, Francis Chan.
Yep. What year, what era was that?
I'm terrible with years, so I'm 42. My mind doesn't work very well anymore.
I can do it for you. I got it. I got a few years on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so that kind of era, because there was a big era there where Chandler, a little bit of Platt,
yep.
Groeschel, who's still going. But anyway, so you went to that conference.
Yeah. There wasn't really an altar call or other moment. I just knew all of a sudden my heart was changed. I didn't have a paradigm to deal with that.
Sure.
So I grew up over and over and over. You keep deciding to follow the Lord and asking for forgiveness. And you ask to be unsaved, and through your activity, you can be unsaved. It's kind of the paradigm that I grew up in. And all of a sudden, my heart was just different, and there was no question of, do you want to repent or what's going on? So I came home and began to tell people, hey, I think I know Jesus now. Start tearing through the scripture, actually trying to learn instead of barter. I didn't read very much at all before. Faith just started coming alive. And at that point, I had different eyes to see. I could just understand things for the first time. It became pretty intriguing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You said something in there. Like you said, you kept trying to like get salvation, and then your sip would mess it up.
Yeah.
Like, was that like altar calls, like multiple altar calls?
Yeah. And like they're we're in a small town now, so hopefully they may have it here. A really hot thing when I was growing up was a thing called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames.
I have not heard of that.
They'd literally take youth to a play.
The Casting Crown song? No? Okay,
no,
sorry.
They'd take youth to a play, and they'd walk out these scenes of like a kid who would make a mistake and then die that night. And then all of a sudden they'd be presented before God and like, what's your name? And look through the book. And you're like, well, that one mistake, you're going to hell. And they do all
a thing.
Oh yeah. Like, so I say they try and scare the hell out of you. At the end, there's like a altar call. Hey, do you want to be dragged to hell? If not, come and pray. Like, what 13-year-old kid is going to be like, yeah, screw you guys. I want to go to hell. Everyone's like crying, like, yes, I want to go. But that was kind of the spectrum. And I want to be really fair. Like, I think a lot of these people had really good intentions, and they just didn't have much understanding. So their motivation wasn't nefarious, but like kind of jacked up the way it works out.
It's a little jacked up. Yeah. Like the intent of wanting kids to choose to go to heaven is a good intent. Ooh, that is a way to do it right there.
Yeah.
They kind of did that in high school with the Casting Crowns skit.
Okay.
Where it wasn't like you presented like heaven or hell at the end. It was just like this enslaved like there's this song they sing. It's like, do you want to be free of these chains holding me? That song, I don't know if you know that.
No. Do you want to sing more of it?
Huh?
Keep singing.
Dude, I sing on this podcast all the time. All right. Anyway, but they would like just go through this whole skit, and it wasn't necessarily freaking gnats. Got it. Wrecked. They wouldn't necessarily present like heaven or hell. They would just be like you were just motivated to be like, I want to be that guy, break the chains, but man, I'm betting a large generation of believing people were probably raised in that generation of.
I think that was pretty thick through the Midwest.
Yeah, right.
Especially with either Pentecostal churches, large swaths of denominations with Assemblies of God, Open Bible stuff. I think Baptists would have been in it because there's still a decision of some sort. So like a large part of what the Midwest would hold. So they did.
Yeah, I was that kid who like every altar call, it wasn't the heavens, gates or hell's, whatever it is. What is it?
Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames.
Hell's Flames. But it was, some story where, little Timmy jumped off a bridge and then Jesus saved him or something like that.
Yeah.
And, I would just be wrecked. I would, I want to be saved like 15 times, because then I would like go home and then I was still sinning. I'm like, didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Maybe next week.
Maybe next time.
Maybe it'll
next
stick.
now.
Yeah.
I'll weep.
Yeah.
And then I remember like, I kind of continued that way all the way into the beginning of college. And I remember going to one of those and like, I felt myself trying to like get myself emotionally to the response. And then I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get there.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to cry and I can't.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh dear. And yeah, I didn't really understand the Lord until Clayton explained to me. Like I told him that kind of story, and we were just talking about discipleship. And he's like, dude, that is not how salvation works at all.
Yeah.
And then just a relief and an understanding. So yeah, not necessarily that moment of where the chains just flew off me, you know, but I was just like, oh man, this makes a lot more, my brain, this makes a lot more sense, you know?
Like, oh, I need somebody to teach me now.
Yeah. Or I should have thought about this at one point. Like I should have academically. Do you think that's a movement that's happening right now? I feel like I'm watching a lot of people academically come to Christ, like from a historical figure, looking at the evidence coming to Christ. That seems to be a movement that's happening today.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if we just trail what's happened over the last 5, 6, 7 years, when truth is tried dismantled at a large scale, people start like we're wired to kind of harness and attach our lives to things that are true. Like if you don't have that, there's a lot of anxiety and chaos there. So when everything went down and like there's no rules, there's no truth anymore.
What are you talking about?
Gender, sexuality,
okay, so like
morality.
2018, 19-ish.
Yeah, it started a little bit before COVID, but it became the period where emotions trumped facts or reality.
Yeah, the phrase "there's absolutely no absolute truth."
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then after that, that's not a good place to live. Like that, and that's what I try and tell people a lot. Is like, hey, walk that out 5 years. Like that's not
walk that out this week. You got a lot of peace in that. Like,
well, most of our sinful and bad tendencies. Like, hey, walk that out further. That's not gonna go well. But because of that, because all the truth was kind of cast away, I think a lot of people, there's a vacuum there and started looking for, okay, the world is screaming there is no truth. That can't be, like, no. And they just start looking for it and they'll find the Lord.
Yeah. Or like they watch that play out and they're like, this is absolutely chaotic.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think there was a little bit more, maybe if you were kind of sidelining it a little bit, you're watching people, you're like, all right, you know what? Go define truth for yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh man, this is affecting all of us.
Yeah.
The way everybody decides to live that way. So, did you go to seminary?
I didn't.
You did not? Okay.
No, I didn't. So the hard part when I got saved, like once I thought I was saved and just went away and came back. I just started, I didn't know I didn't want to pastor a church or plant a church. I didn't have that on the radar. I was kind of working in the background of a place. Mm-hmm. And so I started digging through the word. I just couldn't read enough and really started digging into the teachings. Chandler's sermons are really helpful. R.C. Sproul was an author who is he's passed away now, but an uncanny ability to explain really hard doctrinal things in a way that's understandable. And so I latched onto a lot of his study, everything I could find or listen to or read of his. And in the next couple of years, like several years later, I felt like just this desire that wouldn't go away to learn to preach. And I didn't want to preach. Like I was happy to be like the clown in a party, and like I'm fine with having attention, but I want to public speak. Sure. As this kind of thing wouldn't leave me alone, and so I started learning how to preach. And then later after that, this thing wouldn't leave me alone. You're going to plant a church. So to say all of that, just the way that my storyline fit, by the time the Lord laid planting a church on my heart, like leaving, I was married, leaving to go off to another college experience was not in the cards.
Not in the cards.
So I did a lot of there's a place called Porterbrook that I did a 2-year thing. They're like deeper theological and college level studies, but they're not accredited. And so I did do a lot of side work in order to shore up the pieces.
But when you said starting to learn how to preach, did you go to a class, YouTube? What?
I did everything the wrong way. I didn't have someone who could teach me. I just had somebody who told me they'd let me preach. And so it was mainly like trial and error. And like, from learning how to put a sermon together to knowing how to speak in public to like all of it. My poor wife had to sit through the first sermons, and she'll tell you they were awful. I mean, just like, not just like that wasn't very good. It was like that hurt me to sit through. It was bad. So it's just trial.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't have anyone to like mentor or disciple me.
Gotcha.
At the place that I was at.
Yeah.
So
I remember trying to like adapt Chandler's, which is a nightmare, by the way.
Yeah.
I think he said it in a sermon a couple weeks ago where he was like, I don't have a format. He's like, this just happens. And
did you do the whole thing? Did you like raise your hand and yell a lot?
Well, when I was like starting to speak, I definitely, you'd be like, this guy listens to Matt Chandler. But like, I remember like I was trying to study how people would form, like not necessarily what he was saying, but how he got around in his speaking. And I was just like, none of this makes sense. Like none of it makes sense from a, like, there's his intro, there's his this, there's that. None of it was there. So
it's a special gifting that you can't replicate.
No, not at all. I remember, I think there's a video on YouTube that it's just titled, "You're Not Mark Driscoll" or something like that. Cause he did a big message on like, stop trying to be like people that you're not. And that was good for me to hear because anytime I had to like share a sermon at NAVS or anything like that, I was just pulling content from Matt Chandler.
I've had to tell several guys like that, like, if you need to find your voice, like your crappy imitation of other people. You got to find your own voice.
Yeah. You know of John Piper, right?
Oh yeah.
His successor. Mm-hmm. You know him or listen to him?
I haven't.
His name's Jason Meyer, I think. But when we were in Minnesota, we went and visited that church, Bethlehem Baptist. And my buddy Thomas and I were like getting ready to like take our notes. You know, we were good little sermon listeners because we both wanted to be in ministry. And so we're just like, we're not looking up. And he starts speaking, and it is John Piper. It sounds like the lisp, the pace, the pace, the speaking in threes, everything.
Oh man,
was like, I was like, that's John Piper, and it was a solid sermon, you know. But this guy was discipled by John Piper forever, so you would start to sound like that guy after long enough. So
it was a more natural progression than a co-opting.
Yeah, I think I've been most influenced from I probably sound the most like Colin Cowherd at this point. Like as somebody who I've listened to give monologues that aren't sermons, that's probably who I've spent the most time listening to.
Okay.
Now I listen to like Mike Rowe. I still listen to Matt Chandler's church, but okay. Tell me your opinion on this.
All right, here we go.
I love Matt Chandler. Like the big formation of my faith was, did you ever listen to their, like God's Beautiful Design series? Where they kind of walk through Genesis and pre-fall design. Anyway, one of the most influential ones where like Bo Hughes, one of the guys on his staff, shared about like anxiety. Anyway. Oh no. Anyway, so one of the most influential dudes for me. The Driscoll stuff was hard to sit through too. But last couple of sermons, this dude has dropped swear words multiple times in the sermon. And like the thing is,
he used to tell people not to do that.
I know. And what he's saying, like, it's kind of like, I don't know, you watch the NFL and some guy does something wildly stupid. You're like, all right, well, the product's still there. Whatever. What he said was right. Like, okay, so I think what he said yesterday in the sermon.
Now I'm so curious.
We might have to bleep this. I'm repeating somebody else, though, just so you know.
Okay.
Anyway, so he
okay.
he referred, you know how I used to say the phrase, little boys who can shave?
Yeah.
That's basically turned out where he calls it jackassery. So he uses that term. And then yesterday, he's talking about his dog, Woodrow. And he's kind of making this analogy that Woodrow is led by his stomach. And he basically just say, and Woodrow, go do this. And you know how he does that, where he'll just like get you smiling and just rip your soul out the next minute. And he says, Woodrow, just eat that food, damned to be the consequences. And then goes into and we do the same exact thing, and then everybody's just crumbled. But I was just like, when I heard that, I jolted. Yeah. And I don't know if that's the VeggieTale kid in me that jolts, but like, tell me your thoughts around that. I haven't heard you swear yet from the pulpit.
No,
yet in conversation, I don't think. I mean, you said hell, but you were talking about hell.
Is it even cursing though, or swearing? Like at that?
Is there a difference?
Yeah, because like I don't know. Like I feel like when people
you talk, you're fine.
Sorry,
no, you're fine.
Like that kind of language would resonate with me. Like I hear like literally like if you say something to me and I tell somebody how you said something to me, I almost like paraphrase it with swear words, I guess. But like I don't know. I feel like cursing somebody isn't a specific
directive.
It isn't. Yeah, it isn't a specific word. Rather, this would be my take. Yeah. So
anyway, but you get what we're asking.
No, I do. So I've got 3 boys. One's almost 4. One just turned 9. One just turned 13. So I sit down to talk to them like, hey, there's some times where the best word that fits is a swear word.
Okay. Dive more into that.
But
because comedically, yes.
Yes. But they're also like, but you also have to realize like your age and what's going on and where you're at. And so I've talked to them like, I think there's a little bit of a, with swearing, there's like way more to the table. First of all, the ones that Chandler said there, those words fit.
Right.
I think that you could have chose to do another one, but it's not the guy who just like wants to drop the F-bomb all the time because he's not smart enough to come up like with a better word.
Sure.
Like it fits. And so there's some times that like in language, I think that can be okay. If you're trying to work out the like, hey, I can do this, then you maybe have a problem. I have it in the pulpit because there's is not the right place.
Sanctity.
And so it's sanctity, it's reverence, but then you've got to be careful at times of even when you're writing a sermon, like, hey, does this funny part help the sermon? Or am I just I just drawing the laughs? Am I just saying that because I really want you to like me?
Thank
sort
you
of
for
thing.
Saying that.
So you got to be really careful with some of that. I would kind of treat some of those words, like even if like, oh, this word would fit better, I just wouldn't put it in there.
Yeah, like
it doesn't belong. Now, if you and me are talking, I would use it.
Okay.
But not there.
Okay.
There's also a hierarchy. Like I hate the F word.
Sure.
I think people who use that all the time aren't smart enough to come up with something better.
Yeah.
Like I
agreed.
It's just there's also in just my house like it's just a dirtier one. There's other ones like, hey, that just kind of fits, or like it works there, and that one just seems like it's just more. I don't know. It's on a different level. Like it's the top.
Oh yeah. Like I'd be curious in his manuscript if those words are in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've always really liked his preaching. I've listened to it seasonally. I think where I go at different times of the people, there are sermons and people that are helpful for me seasonally, but I don't want to listen to them forever. Not because of them. I don't want to always co-opt their stuff or let it become too big.
Right.
What I've known over the years of is he's normally, even when he kind of freewheels and goes to the side, he's normally pretty intentional with what he's saying. Mm-hmm. You can say heavy things that cut hard, but he's still actually really intentional.
Right. He just, at this point in his career, for how effective he is, I just doubt those things are off the cuff.
Yeah, it is.
Because that would seem like a little bit of lack of self-control if that was off the cuff.
There's
right?
there's too many years in established other stuff. I would assume for that to be off the cuff and not a decision.
Yeah. My gut, and again, it might just be the VeggieTale person. Like even you talking about like swearing in conversation, I'm like, I don't know about that. You know, it's kind of like how do you feel about worship songs like "Reckless Love"? The word "reckless." Some churches have changed that.
Yeah,
which is sometimes funny, but like I'll preface that question by stating what I think Piper said on something like that, and I would apply it to cursing and cussing as well. Is when he broke down "Reckless Love" in an article, he's like, yeah, so that's actually a really for some of y'all who are upset about it, that's a really Calvinistic reformed song. He's like, it's actually full of a lot of good truth. He's like, but my ask of worship leaders is, there's so many great songs that preach great truth. You have plenty of songs to pick from that don't make me, the singer, question what I'm singing. And I think that way around cuss words too. But
yeah, for the song one, sometimes we're a little just too cute and judgy for our own good. Like, I think that heresy, when you hear it in a song, is like, yeah, you should not say that. And a lot of things that I can't stand in worship culture music is when it's all me. Like, I tried and I'll strive. And there's a lot of like
singing to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of like ocean and nature and my emotion and striving for and like making me happy language. And I'm like, that's not the gospel. That's heretical nonsense. I would be more bothered than that, than like Reckless Love is just trying to give people the idea. Like, most people struggle to feel God is distant and mean and doesn't actually like them and may like other people. Yeah. And so like when a heart sings out, no, like, this is kind of love that I get to experience. I'm like, I just don't know if that's a place to pick your battle over. Like, I'm not writing a theological stance over it. He's trying to convey a certain emotion, and I think people can be a little bit harsh on that.
Hop that over then to cussing. Do you kind of feel the same way in that sense? From a cussing in language, you know?
Yeah, so you have to get back in. I think you have to back up and ask, like, hey, what is language? What am I trying to do? Am I trying to be vulgar for a cause? Am I just using language like in a way things are maybe fitted to be and not in it? Because there's a way to use language in a vulgar, tearing down way that just builds and gets nasty. And there's other times I think you just have some freedom in what you say. Now, you have to be really careful with it. I would never tell everybody like, hey, you're free, so just start cussing or anything like that. To my boys, even when I talk to them, it's like, hey, acknowledging. Because I think when I was young, going back to the why, I just heard don't do that.
Right.
And know why. And so some of the times, someone like, even if there are certain words, like my middle boy is like, you're 9. It's never the right word for you right now. Like, this is just not on the table. It doesn't work. So I don't ever want to make a overly licentious argument, but I think we can make things like, there's certain words that fit in certain situations, and certain words are just, you're just being too loose there, and you need to clean that up.
Yeah.
The heart behind how you give it is actually, I think, kind of important.
When it has come out of your mouth, my temptation with curse words is comedy. Like, it's just funny.
It is funny sometimes.
When it comes out of your mouth, is it because of comedic timing, or you're more like, that is the most effective word in this conversation right now?
Honest answer, both at different times, probably.
Sure.
Sometimes the funny word is the right word. Right. I'm making it appear like I do it way more than I probably do. I'm not offended by every word. Yeah. And then there's some
you're not taking like a Quaker stance on it.
Yeah. And I think there's also like a hierarchy of words. Like, hey, I just don't say that one.
Yeah.
Like,
does some of this go back to, and I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but I think it's decent for the audience to hear, like, does some of this go back to free to do it, but not helpful? Kind of like that theme around eating certain meats, like is that Galatians, right? Free to do it, but not. You know what I'm talking about?
I think Paul talks about
Peter and Paul arguing about what you can eat and what you can't eat.
Yeah, and that deals a lot. It's not even free. They weren't even talking about necessarily to the person. They're talking about the offense that it causes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of applies to the cussing thing too?
Yeah, it definitely would. And that's why, like, in a pulpit, I wouldn't do that.
Pulpit doing it, yeah.
And there's only like certain places in spheres where that would probably happen very much.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to be really careful. I think the mistake for young guys is like when they find a freedom, then they want to overuse it.
Right.
Like,
and that's my fear sometimes is like when I have used it in a comedic timing.
Yeah.
My fear, probably a right one, is that maybe somebody who's not as far along in their walk hears that and then goes, oh, he's just like one of us.
Yeah. And I think that's why you got to be a little bit careful about who and how and what. Yeah, you got to be a little careful with that. It's the same thing that happens with drinking in young guys. Yeah. Like, you mean I can have a drink?
Do you like alcohol, like the taste?
I love bourbon.
Okay. Yeah. Like, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have to acquire that taste, though?
Everyone has to acquire the taste.
See, I don't understand. I've made this argument a lot where I'm like, can something taste good if you had to discipline yourself into the taste of it?
So here's my other theory. And it'll be backed a little bit by science. Your taste buds literally change.
Sure.
And so I used to hate IPA beer. I thought it was like taking a thing of potpourri and shoving it in your mouth. Like, couldn't take it.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoy it. I literally think your taste buds change over time. Acquired taste.
So you enjoy the taste, not the experience, the taste.
Yeah.
Like in the same way you would enjoy a popsicle.
I would say maybe more. I don't really like popsicles that much.
Okay, no, I'm tracking with. See, I always thought the way people drank wine when I grew up.
I hate wine.
Well, you would think it tastes like black cherry Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah,
that's what you would think.
Taste too. I've tried to have it several times. Like it's just not good.
Not good.
Yeah. My parents like it. A lot of other people.
So it's just all different taste buds.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I always like to ask people that because I do think some people are like, I like beer, and I'm like, do you, or do you just like where you're at and who you're with when you drink the beer? Like how much of the percent of the experience is influencing? I really like Busch Light. It's like, no, you learn that from your buddy.
Nobody really likes Busch Light.
Yeah, no, fair. Nobody likes that. You'll have to let me try some bourbon sometime.
Okay.
But like, I won't smoke cigars. I won't do that.
Yeah. What's your take on cigars? Like, is that, or just tobacco in general, or any substance that's like legal?
Well, so you open the umbrella wide. A Christian shouldn't smoke weed. Like it's legal.
Well, why would nicotine be it? Well, I guess
so the bigger problem behind a lot of it is inebriation and being mastered by something.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were a guy who, I'm a really all or nothing guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though I drink alcohol, there are seasons where I'm like, hey, I need to not touch anything for a while. You got to make sure your heart doesn't get wrapped up into anything too much.
Yep.
If there's other people that you know that are really struggling with like, hey, I have this, but I get latched quick. That guy needs to be a little bit more careful and maybe should and that's a hard part about things that are right and wrong is one person may become addicted more easily. And so their propensity is say, nobody can have this. Like, no, that's not necessarily right. The gauge is, are you mastered by this? And are you inebriated, like under the influence of it to the point of like, it's literally changing you.
Yeah.
Those are different. And that's why I made the argument with like a cigar, you'll relax, but you're not going to have a cigar and then wreck your car. Like there's not a change in inebriation.
Unless this dude's never relaxed in his life.
Well, maybe a Cuban, but yeah.
Yeah, I also just think I think might be my standpoint on it, besides the fact that I just don't like the taste of it, but I would probably have to apply this to like ice cream and the diabetes end of it, is like, I just don't think, like, if I'm being a good steward of my body, those things don't need to be in it. Meanwhile, I just, shoveled French fries and ketchup and some ice cream down my throat.
Yeah. And I remember we were talking about like architecture and old churches and things like that. I think that's where we lose some of the historical and even like the Old Testament and biblical side of it. Like you still can't forget Jesus made the best wine for a party. Like, hey, there's some times where with the right people in a like worshipful, good moment, he brought that. And there's other people who like, they don't like it. Like, I was just grape juice. No, it wasn't. Like we know the original language.
I probably wouldn't have drank that wine though.
And so you wouldn't?
I don't think so.
It was the best stuff. I don't like wine and I would have tried it.
You would have tried it.
If he made it?
I would have sampled it. If Jesus was like, here's a sample cup.
Guy turned wine into, or water into wine. You'd be like, nah, I'm good.
I would rather ask for like a cherry Coke.
Well,
like if we were at the bar and someone was like, this is Jesus's wine, I'd be like,
yeah.
Do I need it? Like, can I just have a sun-kissed? So.
What you guys are talking about though is what me and you were talking about at the gym of like me. This is where I get is like, can I do anything? Like, can I smoke a cigar and feel good about it? Can I, marijuana, I think is one that comes up for some people who struggle with that. Cause I could easily go, okay, well I can't smoke weed because it's bad stewardship, but so is eating ice cream. So is being a glutton. So is like there's a lot of things like caffeine.
Yeah. So I've had the argument with a lot of people before. The funny part, in my really wild times in college, I smoked weed then in my wild days. And I've had pastor friends who've never smoked weed who have tried to argue with me about it. They're like, it's okay for like marijuana because you're not inebriated. Like, then they had really bad marijuana. The goal is You get high. Like
right.
it is the goal.
I can't
like,
taste that.
Well,
good.
you can have a beer or a glass of wine and you're not 3 sheets to the wind.
Sure.
Marijuana is kind of an all on or all off sort of thing. And you can have arguments of tolerance and everything like that. That's the point though, biblically, if you have this thing that you're running to alter your state of mind completely, there's a whole lot of other things going on there. And I mean, when you're talking about inebriation, like that's how they're different. But people trying to argue like it's the same as alcohol. It's not at all. And even tobacco, the one-time thing isn't the deal as much as just like, hey, making sure that something doesn't have too much real estate in your heart. So you got to be really careful about being mastered by it. I think there's some freedom in there, and I think we got to be really careful. I've had people who've left our church before because they found out I drank beer. Like they weren't. It's an all or nothing proposition and no room. Like it's really difficult if your position is one that the Bible doesn't actually take. Like you got to be really careful there.
But you would not that you've said any of this, but like you would not advise me like, hey, Landon, you need to probably get into beer drinking so you connect with some people that drink beer.
No.
There was a little bit of that movement though, of like, let's have a beer Bible study.
That was the missional movement of like, hey, so what mission is the secular and sacred divide. There's church, and then they would be the sacred, and then there's the secular. In that time, there was the mass exodus out of the church. So the missional books are all saying you got to go to where the people are. They're going to the bar or the game or the barbecue. And so they'd go there. And I think the hard part of that is there's a difference between go and do it the same way they're doing it. And everyone took it as go and do it the same way they're doing it sort of thing. And that became a little bit of an issue.
I felt like when I tried to do that, because I did try to do that, it more looked like instead, I don't know. I remember Francis Chan talking about in a sermon where he's like, when you have people come into your church, so this is a little bit different, but coming in, but overall, it's how they view Christianity. But when you have somebody come to church, would you rather have them walk in and go, oh, these people all look like me. We all do the same thing. Or would you rather them walk in and go, oh my gosh, these people are the closest thing to Jesus that I've ever seen?
That's one of the best questions that needs to be asked right now widely.
Yeah. Well, go for it. Because I mean, I think when I have gone to the bar with the intent, not necessarily of like, hey, at dinner, we're going to talk about the gospel over this beer, but just going like, hey, I'm willing to step into your arena a little bit. It has more, instead of it has not generated curiosity for my Christian life. It has, if anything, gone, oh, we're all the same. You just believe that and a little more strongly than I do.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead.
Yeah. So to the argument of like, should the church appear different or should it look like the world? And that's what the seeker-sensitive movement was about. The entertainment movement for a long time, churches were literally trying to make their liturgy be like the Jay Leno show, like the late night format of welcome and how you do things. In the older I get, the more stupid that move is. The body and what you do in a worship gathering is to edify the body and worship the Father, not to make people feel welcome in the same way out in the world. And to some like that sounds so mean. How else do you show them there's something different?
Right.
Like they're coming in to see like, hey, what's so different about your worship thing?
Right.
Why do grown men sing and some weep and like why is there this thing that's happening?
Yeah.
If you make it just like the barbecue or some other thing, then they're like, then that's the mindset. It's nothing different. And then you also the backside that's really hurtful is then you actually hurt the church. Because they're meant to have a slow build by these things that are big and beautiful and recenter their world and their heart and their life and then go back into the world. So you starve them from what they need in order to get these people who aren't going to stay anyway.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not a good move. That's one that like the what are so many of the reels, and I'll lose friends over that one. Like that's one of those I'd fight over. That's a mountain to die upon. And as when I was younger, I didn't think that, but it was honestly out of ignorance. Like you had to decide what's the church for and what are we doing, and then you can answer the question.
Yeah. Well, it's like saying like we're inviting you in for life change, but your life doesn't need to change. Like, it doesn't need to look different. It doesn't need to feel different, and that's not helpful.
Well, it's the same reason so many of the churches right now, like the oddity of how many young men are like flying into like high church institutions is there's no rules or no grounding or no rhythm to any part of their life. So they'll even go to a weird one just to have it. And like, just literally look at the world and you can see it. It's not good to take what is special
like the Mormon church
away.
Feels like it's popped out of maybe some of those reasons. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know
that
them.
for sure. But like that kind of idea of just like, oh, this is way different.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden they'll latch onto that, you know.
There's whole movements of churches though that brought in groups to tell them how not to die. And it was become more like the culture in how you appear and then what you say. And now they're dying empty institutions. It's literally, it was their plan to stay alive and it killed them all the way.
I want to go back to a portion of your story that you shared. And if you don't, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions that are probably yes or no, but I think there's probably a lot of people. I'm asking a question that I think Cody would ask, that I'm curious what you would think too, is saved away from hell as a kid. Really converted, like actually followed Jesus later on, right?
I don't think so.
Well, like once you got to the church and that conference, like that's when your faith got serious, right?
Yeah, I don't think I was saved until then.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to ask you is like, would you think you would be saved if you had died in between that?
No, I remember in college in my really wild times, I was up in the middle of the night. I had been out drinking, came home, literally laying in bed at night going, you realize if you die, this is not good. The only thing that changed later is I tried to reform some behavior.
Sure.
Which is, Jesus wasn't even a part of that equation. It was in my mind to try and make God not hurt me.
Yeah. Were you baptized as a kid too?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get baptized again?
No, I didn't do that. That's been on my mind a couple different times of what happened and why a little bit, but no, I didn't.
I've struggled with that one too because I have a similar, like at 7, I could tell I was a mama's boy, right? And mom, if you're watching this, you didn't manipulate me into this, but like mom believed in God, so I was like, I'm going to believe in God.
Yeah.
I did not live as a Christian.
Yeah.
I was in the church. I was lead music, lead small groups, but I don't think I was really a real follower of Christ until, like I said, actually understood salvation and went through discipleship with Clayton.
Yeah.
But it's hard to like draw that line of like, when was I, if something was what had happened, when was I saved?
Yeah.
You know, would you kind of be along some of those same questions too?
Yeah. Like your answer kind of gives, like, that tells me that your actions can kind of reflect whether a person's saved or not. And that's something I struggle with. And me and him talk about this a lot I would consider myself an infant in my faith. I'm pushing 3 years of having, like, I believe Christ is who we said he was.
Yeah.
However, I don't think I follow Christ.
Yeah.
Sometimes more often than not. And so I don't understand. My original understanding was that you were saved when you come to believe Christ. Like, you confess you believe in your heart and you confess with your mouth. However, I don't think that there are days I literally would say I hate following Christ. And I hate saying it like that, but I just think that's what my actions would say.
Yeah.
And so that's a struggle for me, and it makes it hard even spreading the gospel, because it's like, well, if your actions it's funny because like you were talking about high churches. I love theology. Like the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, other high churches would say, well, like if you say you're a Christian, you better live that out.
Yeah.
I think some Protestant circles are a little more willing to say like, like, I think it's the cliche would be, oh, you believe in you're good. I don't think that's true either.
Yeah.
But if your actions really dictate, like if you weren't saved, even though maybe I don't know if maybe you didn't genuinely believe, but if you did genuinely believe, but you weren't living it out, and then you would have died.
Yeah. No, so many people wrestle with the same thing. And sometimes I think we're staring at we're asking the wrong questions when we wrestle with some of that. Like, one, even after you're saved, it's Jesus's resume and not yours. Mm-hmm. And so like, we don't validate each other's mistakes, but I'm not nearly as surprised by mine or other people's as I used to be. And I don't want to make it seem like sin's not a big deal, but you have to fully out of grace make sure that the resume transfer is into his and not yours. And that more helps you not get crushed when you mess up. And so that's one side, but I think some of the questions that are helpful, like, do you have genuine affection for the Lord? And I don't want to only use my story, but when I came back home, there were people like, you've always been safe. Like, you don't understand. I didn't love God. I was trying to make sure I didn't get in trouble. Like, I wanted to love God. Like, I just didn't. Like, there was a heart change and affection that happens in your life when the Spirit begins to show you who God is. So I think there's one question of, hey, where are your affections at? And then two, like Jesus said, if you love me, you'll obey my commands. Now, though it's his resume and not yours, are you trying to obey them? So, because some people just have they just haven't been discipled and they don't know how. And it's really hard to figure out how to reform things without people coming along, helping you. Sometimes you got to change your circle. Because like getting saved immediately and then trying to be missional to all your old friends is like not a great idea sometimes. It's really hard. So I think those sometimes are the better question rather than, because you're talking about like, by the way I acted, I act like I hate you. But do you? like, do you have affection for the Lord? Are you trying? Like, are you trying to obey his commands, or is there something else going on? Because that's where I believe you're the Savior crosses over to, hey, you're the Savior, and that's actually affected the heart, which only the Holy Spirit can do that.
So for like we were talking about like believers who smoke weed, right?
Yeah.
Like, so for the believer who smokes weed, like you could argue like, you could argue that's living in sin, right?
Yeah.
So like, is that person's actions
Great question.
saying that they're not saved, even though they say they're a believer, or is there nuance and there's like, look, some people are going to.
No, that's a good question.
You can think anything, porn addiction, any drug addiction, and like there's so many things.
Yeah. So I've had people ask me before, like, what sins would your church have church discipline over? And when does that kick in? And I said, hey, that's actually the wrong question. There's not like a list of a certain sin. Now, certain sins will change certain dynamics. But the bigger issue is when you go, I don't care what you say. This is what I'm going to do. Like, that's a heart disposition that says something. Now, for a guy who's stuck in porn addiction, or if a person's been smoking forever and they're like they're trying, but they're in the middle of the battle, or like there's something there. if you're still leaning into, because Paul still said, like, I know what I ought to do and I do the thing that I shouldn't. Even the Apostle Paul really struggled with some things, and I can understand the disposition of like, there's just moments where you're like really disappointed with yourself. Even Paul knew that, but some of it goes down to like, hey, all the language, if we cut it in the side and just look at each other in the eyes, go, hey, are you trying to stop? And a person goes, I really am, or no. Like, that's the better question over it, because that's where Christ is gentle and lowly and patient, and it's his resume anyway. But if by your actions,
clarify what you mean by that. By his resume, not yours. Explain that.
Well, the whole reason that you look through the Old Testament over and over and over, people tried to have judges and kings and prophets and other things, and they kept trying to find their way outside of God. The whole Old Testament reads as a massive failure by man. It's every way possible. We tried to fix ourselves and we couldn't. Like, our resume could never do it. Even look at like the people of God are freed from Egypt. They should be celebrating. They're like, let's go make a cow to worship. We're bored. Like, are you serious? Like, we have this amazing capacity to do stupid things and sin. Someone else's resume had to come into place. Like, we will never be able to be righteous. So it's only Christ that we lean on. Now, we're still trying to aim towards, if we love him, obey him. And like, for the person who says they're a believer, but they're not trying to become more like Christ, you got to look at them and go, like, you're going to hate heaven if you make it. like you understand that place is going to be awful to you, because there's no purification in your heart to even enjoy it, sort of thing. But his righteousness is what saves you, not your own. And that doesn't give you license to do whatever. It just, most people, there's an author I just read that said most sinners think that they're saints, and most saints think that they're sinners. So when your conscience is weighing on you, you just got to remind yourself, if you're still in the battle trying to like reform your action and stop sinning, that he's the perfect one, not me.
I think when we've had arguments over this, where we've landed is like, are you struggling or not with it? Like kind of like you asked, are you trying or not? Yeah. Is there a better word than how horribly trendy the word struggle is right now? Like, is there a biblical word for like mortification maybe? Or the process of sanctification? But like, that's usually where we've landed of like, are you actually
Well, I mean, so the word that I would use to my 13-year-old is, are you mailing this in? Like, is there effort there or not?
You're trying.
Landon, you said this the other day, like, you have free will, why not just stop? Which, like, that sounded silly, but honestly, like, I genuinely, like, John Piper says it too. He's like, you say you're struggling, but are you really waging war? Because I think if I was waging war with, I mean, I'm not even sure, like, I don't want to get too particular on the mic, but there are some things in my life where I'm like, I could see where scripture maybe says I shouldn't be doing this thing, but I don't know that I agree with that morally. And so I'm like, I don't want to follow Christ in this manner. So I'm like, okay, is my entire faith corrupted because I'm big? Now, granted, I think I'm too honest. I think I tell, like, I don't think most people, and I think it's a good thing that I'm willing to say that. I don't think most people are willing to say, like, I don't agree. And like when they're like, they just want to play that, like, oh, I know, I always follow Christ or whatever. Like but my thing is like, I'm not going to sit here and play beat around the bush.
Those are harder of like not getting into the specific ones, like another conversation to figure out, okay, what are they? And there's something, so like even the talk we had about alcohol, there's some people who be like, you have any drink, you're a sinner, going to hell. Like you were wrong. Like that's actually not in the Bible. So there's some things that like maybe people put into a category that are not actually that. And
dancing for Baptists.
Yeah, dancing for Baptists. Yeah, sure. But then there's some things that people have tried to move out of the category to sin and like, oh, it's actually okay.
Homosexuality is a great one, by the way. Like a good example.
Yeah, and so like the Bible's not even the Bible's not even. Here's the play right now. You take things that are clear and you make them muddy. The Bible's not muddy about that. The reality is they don't like what it has to say. And so like even for your issue, you got to figure out, okay, is that a muddy issue that people have made something a sin that's not, and that's what I'm reacting to? Or am I rebelling? Because there's a part of my heart that in the end, I think the question that was helpful that I never understood to ask when I was young is, are God's rules actually good? Like, if they're actually good, then you trust him and know he's actually not trying to steal from you. He's trying to protect you from your own stupidness. And so like imagine—
and give you better.
Well, imagine every teenage boy with raging hormones when you tell him, hey, you should only have sex with your wife. In his head, he's like, I don't know, man. Because he doesn't know why or what's going on. But then the life that goes after, and whether there is broken relationships or heart tied to people that they shouldn't be, or all kinds of stuff, pain that comes. Like we look at it as a God just trying to restrict my fun. He's like, I'm trying to save you from a world of pain, and then also make this other thing way better.
That makes sense, because like most sins I can look at, and even if I looked at it outside of the biblical context of it, like not having sex before marriage makes sense because, unwanted pregnancies, STDs, etc. Like there's so many practical reasons why you just shouldn't do that.
The reality of if it ends up, how many kids don't have a dad?
Right.
Like there's so much reality there.
And so like, but for the ones I really, really struggle with are like something like homosexuality, where I'm like, I don't really know if somebody waited for one person, right, and that happened to be the person of the same sex. Like that's one I struggle with, like explaining to other people, because morally I'm not conflicted about two of the same sex people being together. I don't feel personally like I can't even logistically think of a reason why you shouldn't. And I mean, maybe there's some like, you could argue natural law or whatever, but it's like stuff like that. And they're like, I'll explain more maybe off the podcast, but there are other things where I'm like, that I look at, I'm like, I don't know. There's like, this doesn't morally feel like a conflicting thing.
So like the cool questions, I think that people are fighting so much that they can't understand is like, what are we aiming for in life, and what is a good life, and like, and what makes a good culture? I think a lot of people don't even understand that that's tied up into that. And does it do a good thing having a child and rearing them? And like, I can tell you, having a child changed me. Like there's so much selfishness and anger and different things that it's weeded out. There's things that happen in the way that God has planned things. I think one of the interesting questions is like, hey, if you take all that out, what's the net effect of that? And is God's plan actually good? Rather than just like, why isn't that okay? I think that's kind of a short-sighted question.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Driscoll earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing that he said that I thought was right. The plan is really good, and trying to back up and see the why. And then I think a lot of times people struggle with is does God have the ability to say no to you? Can he say no over something or not? And that's a big functional question too, because you got to ask the why, but then also like, can he tell you yes or no on something? I think that's a lot of what people struggle with as well. Is like, can he say no to something?
What do you mean? Like, can God say no to you?
When we struggle with a certain,
are you talking about our ability to obey that no, or just
one of the only dirty thing is to call something a sin in modern culture.
Right.
Is that it boils down, no matter what the issue is like it boils down to, does God have the right to be in charge or not?
Gotcha.
And that sometimes we don't like that.
No.
And that's why I think it's helpful to back up. Like, one, he does, but two, if he's not a capricious master, there's normally a reason why he's saying that. Trying to look into the reasons kind of helpful.
Yeah. Well, or you have to just say he's not authoritative, and now you've uprooted your entire faith basis.
Yeah.
If he's not authoritative, then the Bible is not authoritative, and your religion is.
Well, that's a funny thing. I have a family member that me and him have been talking a lot lately. He just has a problem with anything authoritative. Like, that's not a sustainable worldview. And everyone lives under something authoritative.
Correct.
Yours is just a different one.
Yeah.
Like that,
or yours is subconscious.
Yeah, that's not even a rational thought. You just don't like this one.
Yeah,
and that goes
kind of
back to like God can't say no to you.
Or absolute truth.
Yeah.
That's my truth. Are you saying you're right? What?
So when you were a child, like growing up, you talked about your faith and like how you don't think you were saved then. So would you have considered yourself like a genuine believer in Christ, but you weren't following him and that's why you weren't saved? Or would you say
no? That's a really good question. I thought I got saved many times. I didn't understand what saving faith and salvation really was.
Mm.
Now, some people have argued, and I think they have some valid arguments, is like over history, some people have called that like conversion, like more of a Saul on the road to Damascus. All of a sudden you're not looking for it, and God's like, hey, boom, your heart is different now. Like that can be a reality for some. I just lost my train of thought completely. Sorry.
The word that's coming up to mind for me is sanctification. Because like what I'm thinking, like the way you were explaining it, it sounded like your sanctification process happened from being, this is my hope, that it happened from you being a kid all the way up until the point you actually believed you were saved. For me, I'm like, man, like I genuinely in my heart believe who Christ is, who he said he was. But I also know that I don't like following him all the time. And my hope is that's a sanctification process.
So like, what sounds like
saying, I got you.
Did you go from 0 to 1% over 10 years? Like, but you know what I mean?
No. So I would have thought I was saved the whole time, but I don't think I had a foundational understanding of what salvation was. That's why I said when I left Kansas City, I just tried to reform my behavior. That's kind of what it was, like moral reformation with a little bit of God and Sunday sprinkled in. And I like hyperbole. So like that's not the total picture of it. I didn't understand that there's a literal heart change that literally it can happen over time. Because some, praise God, kids will grow up in church and like, hey, I never had a crazy college moment like you did. Thank God. That's my prayer for my boys. I don't want them to have
boring stories. That's what our
but they're a lot of times like, hey, is there a death of this old thing and a life of this new thing that you rejoice in? Now, it doesn't mean it's always like pain-free or easy, but a new heart that you want to actually give and present to the Lord because you think he's better is a big marker of it. Now, you can still struggle in your sin, but that's why I asked some of the questions of, we can talk words a lot. Like, do you have genuine affection for the Lord? Like, if no one's watching and no one cared and there wasn't a ledger of good and bad activities, would you still pursue the Lord or think he's needed at all? Like, answering that question, I think, actually tells a lot. Like, and are you trying? Because and what answers if you actually love him, if you're trying to obey him, even if it's imperfectly. I think those two questions are the really good marker. I wasn't really loving. I was just scared. Now, over what I was trying to say before, over history, some have just called that moment an awakening and saying like, hey, you were saved the whole time, but this is when it came alive to you. Other people would call it it was your conversion moment. I would just know I didn't have genuine, I wasn't excited to be the Lord's or thought he was actually good news or powerful or present before. And then I did. So it was a very different thing. And I never read a book. Like in high school, I was a master of not reading a book and getting an A on a paper. I was really good at saying nothing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I couldn't stop reading the word. I was a kid who didn't read because I wanted to know more about this God that did something weird to my heart. There's desire. And my actions still weren't perfect. I had a whole lot of anger that needed to be weeded out, and the Lord's still working in. But there was this affection to dive in and know that changed a lot. Does that kind of go into part of that?
Yeah.
That's a no.
Yeah, we no. So I don't know if there's ever. I love you, Cody, but one of the funniest things about you, bless your heart, is there has never been an answer that I've given him that ever suffices the argument, right? For the most part. That doesn't mean he doesn't listen, but I think you love talking so much that you're like, but what about this? Which is great. But I wanted to talk about the free will thing that came up was we were talking about free will versus predestination. And then we were talking in the same breath about the struggle, progress, killing sin. I was like, why don't you take that same free will and kill your sin then? And your argument back to me was that's like me telling you to pick up this 300-pound weight and you just can't. I'm like, no, it's not. Somebody has a physical ability to do that or not. I think, and when we were in the gym that day, I was just, I've been over the past few weeks just pretty fired up over my role in fighting and leading for my family. It is obtuse of me to think that the enemy wants no business in trying to wreck my family right now because my kids are 3 and 1. Yeah. So I've been pretty fired up over you know what? With the strength of the Lord, let's go kill some sin. And with that, I don't know why I'm back on the Kanye Jesus album back in 2019. It's got some of those.
We're in the gym, bro.
It's got some of those themes in it.
Oh my gosh.
Just this
gospel.
Yeah, use this gospel for protection. It's a hard road to heaven.
My dilemma is, and I said this the other day, because you asked if I ever struggle with thinking God loves me or not. And I think I know that God loves me. I think I know that he loves everybody. Because scripture is pretty clear about that. And I'm not going to fight with the creator of the universe on whether or not he says he loves me or not. However, what I struggle with is I don't know that I love God. I believe it. I believe who Christ is, who he said he was. But man, following him sucks sometimes for me. I don't really feel the joy of it all the time. And so because of that, I question my salvation a lot. And this is you can ask Josiah through discipleship. This has been a fight from day one of or maybe I had a good month or two of I am saved. And then it was oh, dude, am I? And so
I will say I was there for his conversion. Yeah. He did not get got by a heaven's gates, hell's flames thing.
No, gotcha. Okay.
In fact, Luke, if you watch this, it wasn't a bad sermon, but it was not a oh man, Chandler just brought it kind of message.
He started that.
Wasn't it over Genesis 1? Something like that?
Maybe
it wasn't even John. Genesis.
Ironically, Genesis is my favorite book, but he started off with talking about that people are naturally evil. We are bad. We were born in this world and you were bad from the get-go. And I'm like, dude, and I would come to Navs not because I wanted to learn, but because I wanted to tell him how stupid he was. And he would contest us. I would argue with him in front of everybody and be like, dude, you're wrong.
Yeah, he's always been an arguer.
Yeah, he talked about the academic side of it. The reason I came to believe who Christ was who he said he wasn't really anything spiritually driven. It was more so if you just look at the evidence and you're being intellectually honest, you have to admit something's there. Yeah. And so I get that. I guess the one thing you're left with is, did he rise from the dead or not? I think there's evidence to support that he did. So I'm I don't know. The evidence is there. I think.
Where the body at?
Yeah. I think I believe it. I don't think I believe it. I do. Obviously, I've had since then, through reading scripture, et cetera, experiences with, I hope is the Holy Spirit. But, another issue is that I feel God his grace is outweighing my sin. It's almost I feel I'm trying to out sin salvation. I feel almost purposely sometimes I'm I'm going to rebel because I know I can, and just to prove to you that you're not going to save me, I guess. And I don't know if that's I might be being exaggerating a little bit. But dude, it's like God, I hope it's from above. Not all gifts are from above, but it just feels like his grace. He's like, I love you. You're
we talked about like your self-deprecation is a form of pride.
Yes.
Like it almost feels like you're testing, like, oh yeah, God, am I good enough to be saved or something like that? Which is the wrong question anyway. But you go ahead. You've got a better voice on this one. He's already heard mine.
Yeah,
and this is, I think, good for my listeners.
So we have some good friends of ours. They've came to our church cyclically every once in a while, and when we get to just talk with them, like in private, out and on, like patio or hang out, they'll genuinely or generally the wife will say like, really, just this whole thing is a what if proposition of like, I believe in God, but if hell's real, I gotta put a couple deposits in every once in a while. And so there's a cognitive belief there. Like you say, like, even the demons believe. Cognitive belief isn't anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's separate. But hey, you're real. Because there's still Romans. If you confess and believe, like you're leaning forward. Because there's a very big difference between like still struggling with some sin, but I'm leaning forward, or I'm just trying to do the bare minimum and say I believe. So you know, does that make sense a little bit? Like if you're leaning forward to try and follow the Lord, you believe that He's real. Even when you say like, hey, I've sensed some moments with the Spirit, I would argue that wouldn't even have that language or gauge if your heart wasn't regenerate. Like that probably wouldn't even be a gauge there. But you'll have to be the one who answers like, hey, do I want to do this or not?
Right.
And that's different because there are moments in life where you just get really tired and you're like, hey, Christianity feels like I'm rowing against the current forever. And I know I don't really want to, but I just like to stop pedaling for a week because I'm just really tired. Everyone gets there at some point. That's just more like the weight of being like your heart feels it like, hey, I'm a sojourner in this world. I'm made for something else. Much of the world hates the Lord that I serve. And sometimes that's really hard. That's normal versus like, I don't really want any of this crap. I just think I probably need to. Like those are just very different things. I know I keep kind of going back to the same thing, but it's a heart posture there. Like there's a lot of people who will end up like, I wonder if that's saving faith. I wonder if that's saving faith. Like that's why I talked about the resume thing before. If you know that you're trying and leaning forward, then the question isn't like, was my faith a big enough deposit? Was Jesus' sacrifice big enough to save me? The answer to that is yeah. Like I think you can just like that's what faith and resting in it looks like. But there's many people like, man, I wonder.
Yeah, it sucks too because I wish I had more of a fear of hell. Like you talked about, like you were scared. I'm like, dude, I don't even think about it. Heaven does sound not great to me sometimes when I read about it because it sounds like communism to be honest. Dude, when I read about heaven, I'm like, dude, this stuff, you're not married. I'm like, I think I've infatuated the human experience, I guess, and I can't even comprehend what God has to offer. Yeah. But I don't think about hell a whole lot. Like I'm not like, my position doesn't come out of fear out of like, obviously I don't want to end up in suffering for all of eternity. That's what hell is. But that like my thought process never goes, oh man, like I'm trying to avoid hell. It's more so like, man, there's somebody who loves me and is the creator of everything and is trying to tell me what's up. And for some reason, I don't want to do what he's telling me to do.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to fight against the flesh.
I hear a very rebellious, regenerate heart.
Yeah.
Because Clayton said, "I am begrudgingly following Christ."
Like one of the things you brought up there, we won't have time to dig into when we talk today. I think actually is helpful. Like their old school guys had a better way of talking about like we actually do need a better theological talk about heaven and hell. I think it's really misunderstood.
Yep.
And you'll hear so many people now be like, well, that's what heaven's like. I'm just going to be here drinking beer with my friends. You're like, you don't know what you're saying, man.
I was going to say, I don't think our minds can comprehend how bad and how good heaven and hell will be.
Well, so the book of Job is a pretty heavy book. Like it darker in the spectrum of reading. And the whole point is there's only so far that God will let the enemy go.
Yeah.
And the destruction that he brings against Job. And we all think of it as like, how much can this guy's life suck and he still like not hate God? That's part of it. But the other part is like God is actually restraining evil. Hell will be a picture when there's no restraint anymore. Like nothing. And so you think of the worst of the worst of the worst. Even then, God's hands are still holding back how bad things could be and how much we could break and hurt each other. He won't do that anymore. And then the flip side of that, everyone messes up. Like you said before, God loves everyone. Like, not really. Like
I was actually going to come back to that question.
We have a lot of misunderstandings over like the whole God is love statement. And part of what that's trying to say is like, there's not 11 types of love and God is one of them. Like God is love. Any form that you see is a reflection off of him.
But who doesn't God love?
That's a great. So when the Bible talks about God loving, he's talking about loving his children, like as a father would. He doesn't have that for everyone. Like there's a different form and different way that he treats his kids than those who are not. That's why he sent Jesus to redeem his kids back to himself out of love.
Who's this kid? Who's his kids, though?
Oh, go ahead. This is great.
Be the sons and daughters, the saved ones. So it would be like me saying, I love everybody, man. And then a 13-year-old walking across the street and you being like, so you love that 13-year-old as much as you love your kid? No, I don't. He treats and loves and cares for his children differently.
But if he'll save anybody, how doesn't he not love everybody? Like, for example, like, did he love Pharaoh? Like, there was attempts made. I mean, he knew the outcome, obviously, because he exists outside of time. But he gave opportunity to Pharaoh to, like, in my opinion, he was after Pharaoh's heart. He wanted Pharaoh.
Yeah, so we'd have to chase that one along, or we have time. Spurgeon's really good at writing about that God is strong enough to line up the will of man. And his sovereign decree. And that's part of what like the Pharaoh thing was happening. Mm-hmm. The answer, did God love Pharaoh like he does Jesus, which is the same way he loves his other sons and daughters? No, he didn't. Like that's where a lot of, I think, misunderstandings about love come from. So if we go back to like all love is God's, and I can see you're like, I don't know if I believe that. We can talk more. All love is God's, all love that comes as a reflection of him. Then that means after that, any love that we were able to do is a like gleaned benefit from him. If you're cut off from the God that is love, it means there will be no more love. Like love is not something we do on our own. It is a part of the reflection of God out of the Imago Dei in us. When we're cut off, the restraint of evil will be gone, and so will love. Like it's a horrific thing to live in. And so this idea, they're like, well, just the religious stuffy people, they're going to be together and I'm going to be here having fun. You're like, you don't understand what you're saying, man.
Or like hell's where all the bad people are going to hang out together.
Oh yeah. Like it's going to be a party singing Highway to Hell. Like, no, I don't think so.
I heard somebody tell a group of children that if they didn't convert or follow Christ, that Satan was going to torture them in hell for all of eternity. And I wanted to punch this man in the face. I was like, that is not at all.
Well, okay, hold on.
Satan is not reigning in hell. He's being punished in hell. That is very clear.
Yeah, so like either way, like it's not great to go up to kids and say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
that's
objectively.
It's like taking them to Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames, and
not a great like. Have you heard Matt Chandler talk about how he evangelized when he first got converted?
I think a long time.
He went from like being terrible to I love Jesus shirt, and he would carry red. He would carry the hot Jolly Ranchers, and he would be like, "You want one of these hot ones?" They're like, "No, I don't like hot." And he's like, "Well, if you don't like hot, you're not going to like where you're going to go." Let me tell you about Jesus.
Oh, that sounds like the guy with Kirk Cameron who used to walk around all the time doing the videos.
Oh.
Where would you go if you died today?
Yeah. Not Cliff. Is it Cliff?
Cliff Connectley?
No, it's a different guy. And they'd be like, I'm mainly good. And he'd basically be like, have you ever stolen anything? Yeah. You're not good.
That's not Cliff. It was an older guy. Like
I can see Ray? His face. I got the
I
name
can too. Mustache.
Ray's right. Yeah.
Ray something. Yeah.
He looks, I think, a little bit like Connectley.
Yeah.
So like
also converted people doing that too.
He did. Tracks used to work. I hate those things.
Epic apologetic work.
Like the thing about like what that guy said, there's deeper. That's why I said a theology of heaven and hell needs like there needs to be a comeback of like the Bible talks about for a certain period of time, Satan will be the ruler of this world, meaning like there'll be this high part for him to influence and sin and cause death and destruction. Like his influence will be so heavy here, like in heaven that whole or in hell that whole thing's like carried into that really dark spot there. So by semantics of like, is he like on a kingly throne? Like, yeah, this is my spot versus is his way ruling and reigning there? Like some of that question goes down to semantics and what do you mean? But either way, it's a dirty thing to go ask that to kids.
Yeah, I think if Satan reigned hell, he kind of wins because it's just like there's no punishment for him ever. If he gets to reign hell and torture everybody, it's like he gets everything he wants.
Like, are you insinuating that he's like having pleasure from that?
Satan, yeah, he hates humanity. If he gets to punish humanity for all of eternity, I think if anything, I heard somebody else say this: God's present in hell. Like, and I think we see this in the Old Testament, and it might be Job, where he sees the guy, looking up, and he's like, oh, it's so hot here, and I forget. I wish I was more literate or remembered the area I'm talking about, but
yeah,
like I think hell, the best way I've heard it explained, it might have been John who said it, is that it's God. That's God's righteous, like justice. Like hell is justice. We deserve hell. And I'm not saying hell is a good thing,
no.
But I think insinuating that Satan's there with a pitchfork poking at you is just unbiblical and a lie.
Well,
my first reaction is like, who cares what Satan's doing at the end of the day?
Yeah, like
I don't want to be there.
There's a little bit of a missing of the point if that's like your main wonder, if that's going to be.
I mean, that's fair. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to go into.
Whether
like,
Satan's happy or not down there, I don't want to join him.
Yeah.
I think I'd be aggravated with God if Satan like got to just do what he wanted in hell.
Well, so what is it? C.S. Lewis, Narnia.
Uh-huh.
It was a great storyline of some of that. They present it well of like the enemy thought they were winning when the cross happened. And then the unthinkable happens. Jesus raises and is going to reign again. So like the ultimate goal is overthrowing God. That's why he got thrown down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think getting to have this other spot where you torture people, that wasn't the goal. It was a power struggle, which is the same thing that we do in our rebellious hearts is, forget you, I'm going to be in charge.
I think we also sometimes put like Satan as the equal antagonist to Jesus.
Yeah.
Like he shares some of the similar attributes of omniscience and omnipotence. And you're like, no, this dude's not. It's not him. Dude's not him.
I think we were going to chase heaven and hell theology in our.
I didn't either, but I do think like a lot of this, I think wraps up to, I think we're a lot of somewhere in between like young Christians who have like maybe lost a little bit of that. I thought Christian life was going to look like this. Their conversion. Like when I really actually started following Christ, I was like, oh my gosh. And then Navigators was huge. And I was working at a church camp. And then like that wanes off. Not that any of those were invalid, but that wanes off. And then you're like, wait a minute. Now what is it? And there was like this kind of, you talked about we need heaven hell theology back a little bit. I agree because I feel like Reformed theology swung all the way to like, cessationism and cigars and long beards and no spirit. And now there seems to be this like what would they call it? Reformed charismatics.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's where it's coming back to. And I feel like there are a lot of, young men who are stuck in this like, at least when I was young, when you became a Christian, then the path was to become a professional Christian. Like the ultimatum of a young Christian was to be in ministry. But for those of us that are kind of like, all right, I don't think the vocation's ministry, but my call is to full-time ministry as a Christian, what do we do with some of these issues? Do these issues even really matter? Like I have never, some of the stuff you've talked about, I haven't wrestled with. But then as I talk with Cody and talk to him over the last few months, I'm like, I probably should. Because if Cody's asking this, nobody probably talks as much as you, but there's a lot of people that are probably going to be asking those same questions. So I guess, we're getting close to the end, but try to give a little bit of advice to people like maybe in my walk, in his walk, where like, I think the temptation from the enemy is like, we can't explain it. And because we can't explain it, we can't do anything about it going forward. Like, I think just this overall feeling of feeling very stuck and the angst out of that because we don't want to feel like there aren't any answers, maybe that answer is like, well, just go to church and you'll start, figuring out some of that stuff. But I don't know. I just about put 4,000 questions.
Yeah, I was going to say that was more than one question delivered as a question. I think when you talk about some of the things you can't know, I think we still go back to like, it's a definition of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Believing in some of the things that you can't see.
Yeah.
Now, there's the world and part of others that would tell you that's ignorance. And then you just got to go, I'm fine with being ignorant in your eyes. Like that is the foundational, it's our thing, like faith.
Right.
So I think that's the one side. I think when you went into like, hey, this just looks different than what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
It would be good if on the front side, everyone started having some more conversations like that. Like generally most people don't think they're as far as they should be, or their picture of where they should be in 10 years is not where they're actually going to be. And life is harder and things happen. Like normalizing that conversation is probably helpful.
Yeah.
But some of the other things, this is why, I think churches probably need to be a little bit careful with like high school ministry, youth ministry, and college ministry. It's like those are very sweet seasons of life that are not normal. Like you're more free and have less responsibility. Like we've talked about some of that than you ever do. And so if you expect this like meteoric rise of like emotion and freedom and other stuff, like you hit a family and all of a sudden that freedom and like everything changes.
Yeah.
And so then you've got to almost recapture a life that understands the liturgy of all things, like can be a steady man who lives in one place and fathers his children well.
Yeah.
Is that a worshipful, good life? Like we have to reset the bar of what successful life looks like.
Right.
And
not forfeit, because it feels like a forfeit when you're like,
yeah. And so like for some of that, we've got to kind of reset the gauge of like, no, long faithfulness in a direction is actually strength. Not a voice in social media or like read Ecclesiastes, all that other stuff that's going to be taken away. It's like wind. And so part of beginning to reset the gauge of like, hey, what does actually a good life look like? And understanding, hey, I get to be salt and light until the Lord puts it all back together, and I get to be faithful until he comes home, and reframing it that way. And that's enough.
Yeah.
Like those are really, it doesn't mean stop dreaming, but there's this general like malaise, is that the right word, that comes over people's life as they're almost disappointed because they don't view faithfulness as good.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same thing that's like wrecking a lot of women because our culture has stopped showing how beautiful being a mom is and how needed it is. And so they don't hear it's valuable. Hey, like this is a hard thing. You just got to be faithful and you don't get a whole lot of thank yous.
Yeah.
That's hard. And so just being a faithful person.
And then when men
say
it, we're just saying it because we want dinner cooked and the house clean.
No, for a man, like be married to the same wife, raise your kids, be faithful, teach them what the Lord is like repent in front of your kids, like tell them where you've messed up, like do that for a long period of time and leave a legacy of that. And that's better than the other stuff anyway. Like because emotions and some of the things we get really like excited about, those fade. We get really like high off of them. Like they feel good, but then they're gone. But the slow build is actually what stays, which is what the Bible would call joy. Like the slow build of something steady. So I think we just got to reframe what is good, what is healthy, what is helpful in light of what the Bible says. And that retools a lot of it. But that's a hard word for a 22-year-old. Just like work hard and father. Yeah. Oh, like you can have hobbies too, but you got to reset that. Yeah, that's actually a really good and beautiful thing.
Absolutely. So you just said like 22-year-old that you're saying that to. Any like books you would recommend for somebody in that stage who's kind of feeling stuck, not wanting to forfeit, but trying to walk the walk?
I don't know that I would give a specific. I mean, that's so situational.
I read A Pilgrim's Progress this last year, the old version.
Yeah,
loved it. That was really good for me.
So that would be one of my first things is read people who are dead.
Nice.
Old people.
I think that was one of the really big traps early on when I became a Christian is the thought exchange. You got to keep up with a new fad. Like the church isn't broken. You don't need a new fad to fix it. And so this chasing of new ideas is actually a road to nowhere. It's like read some old people who ended well. And maybe some who still struggled, and let that set a foundation underneath of you a little bit. Like I already mentioned a guy who's passed away now, but like R.C. Sproul stuff has been really, really good.
Yep. Sproul, Lewis.
Real quick, not to interrupt you guys, but it is 2:56.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't need to wrap.
Yeah. Augustine is really good.
I haven't read any of his stuff.
If you need to, like, try and get ones that are a little bit more palatable, or ask ChatGPT to break it down. But try and find some stuff that's not brand new and faddish.
Are you a ChatGPT or you a bot licker?
I think I hate proofreading.
Sure.
So I use it all the time to like proofread my stupidity out of things, or try to.
Yeah, right.
I think it's really good. Like, hey, synthesize this one thing down for me real quick. I think it's good for that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to use it to write my sermon, but
I mean, I use it to Google everything now. It's my new Google.
Yeah, like I would consider it like it would be a good, really cheap, quick research assistant to do just some menial work that could take time. You shouldn't latch onto it for everything.
It just helped me pass a test, so that was fun. I would tell it what I didn't understand, and it would reteach me. Interesting.
Oh, wow.
Dude, it's I think it's way better than people think.
I was taking a bunch of practice tests for that securities exam, and I would put in a question that I was like, here's what I think it is. What am I missing? And there's like,
I think it's really good. The bigger problem is that are people going to stop learning the function of general thought? Like that's
right.
Yes,
that's the bigger problem. I mean, it's not going to take over the world, but we're even learning like, hey, the way you prompt it can make it give crazy good answers. Like it's really strong. Yeah. But
I made
if
that
our
argument
kids
with
don't
Google,
know how to write a cohesive thought because
Yep.
they just chat GPT all the time, then we got a problem.
Yeah, but I made that argument with Google. Is the Google effect is you didn't have to remember anything.
Oh yeah.
I don't have to remember anything, but I can just whip out my phone and Google it.
I have a bad memory. I love that part.
Yeah,
That's probably why.
the problem is
We're Google kids.
Yeah, it's true.
the problem is you can either use it equally, you can use it for good and make yourself better at things. It's made me better at this.
Sure, I can still Google things well, but it's absolutely reducing my dependency on my brain. My dependency is now on if my phone is charged, I can look it up there versus store it in here. Scripture memorization, kind of back to that thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this has been good. At some point I'd love to talk like Redemption Hill Church history.
Yeah.
But we can do that another day.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can set up shop in at the church sometime too.
Oh, yeah,
It'd
for
be
sure.
kind of fun. So but TJ, Travis, thank you. I didn't know that was your real name. It's wild. And we didn't even talk about Allie either in your story there. So we'll have to, Allie, I'm sorry. And we'll have to do that next time.
I threw
for
you guys
sure.
off. I'm
No, I knew I don't know. I think people need to talk more about theological issues and hear it from people who have spent more than just ChatGPT on theology, which TJ clearly has. So but yeah, I did crack a Reformed systematic theology this past week. I don't know why, but I was just like, you know what? Let's just crack it open.
I like it.
Cracked it open and made it through the first chapter and haven't retained anything. So I'll just Google it. So anyway, all right. Thanks, TJ. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Now for the very first time